It's the most wonderful time of the year, and I'm not talking about the holidays. I'm talking about the World Junior Championship.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Locked On Predators podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you for making us your first stop of the day. We are your free daily Nashville Predators podcast. I want to start off by shouting out all the Locked On Predators podcast community and our everydayers who tune in to chat all things Preds every day. Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. My name is Jack Williams, and I am the Nashville Predators beat writer at the Hockey News and the host of the podcast. And today, in the midst of the holiday hangover right now, with Christmas just ending and still in the mix going up to New Year's, we're talking about a big tournament that's starting up today, and that is the World Junior Championships. Want to talk about a little bit what I'm wearing, just the environment as well I'm around. Excuse the mess. If you guys are watching this podcast, we are currently preparing for Christmas and we'll be leaving soon. This is a pre-recorded podcast right now, but when this releases, the World Junior Championship will be starting that day. And I'm wearing some of the holiday swag from the Preds games that they have given out on the December 20th and 21st games to the first 10,000 fans in the arena. You can get this nice toque, as they call it up in Canada, or they just call it a winter hat here. They have a nickname for it because they have to wear it so much up in Canada. And then I don't have it on right now because it's just so big, but it is comfy. Absolutely comfy. This is the Predators Christmas sweater this year. I don't know if this is a yearly thing they do since this is my first year here, but this stuff is pretty comfy, and they give out a lot of, if you get there early enough, they give out some really good free stuff at the game. So the media got access to this stuff early, which is always fun. So this is the Christmas sweater. This is the toque/hat. But we're here not to talk about Pred swag, as much fun as that is. We're here to talk about the World Junior Championships. And if you guys don't know what this is, man, it is truly the best. It's something I grew up watching constantly. It's something my dad grew up watching. It happens in the most wonderful time of the year. It's a great time to watch when all the holidays are over. Things are kind of just on vacation, winding down, wanting to relax and watching some good hockey. These are the top under 20 players in the world, some as young as 16 years old. This year, the tournament is going to be hosted in Minneapolis and St. Paul, and it's from December 26th to January 5th. It is run by the IIHF, the International Ice Hockey Federation. This is the same group that does the World Championships and oversees all of international hockey. So you have teams in this tournament. This year, the lineup is the United States, Canada. United States is the host. Canada, Finland, Sweden, Switzerland, Slovakia, Germany, Latvia, and Denmark. And there's usually a few other teams that are mixed in the year for year. Sometimes we'll see Kazakhstan. Sometimes we'll see Austria. Due to the international conflicts going on with Russia and Belarus, they are not in this tournament, similar to the Olympics, but they are usually in this tournament as well. Why you guys should know about it, absolutely, is there are 6 Predators prospects playing in this tournament, 2 for Team USA, 3 for Canada, 1 for Finland, and 1 for Sweden. That is a massive lineup going into this tournament. That is the full future on display. And some of the names I'm going to mention are some of them that you guys recognize, some of them that you've been hearing about a lot, especially one of the most popular young guys here in the town that is not Luke Evangelista. That is Brady Martin, who was the 5th overall pick, the Predators' highest pick since 2013 in this previous draft in 2025. He's going to be playing in this tournament for the first time ever. This is going into a little bit more lore and context about this. This tournament, it's fun. It's definitely huge in the hockey community for sure, in every hockey community, whether we're talking about the United States, Canada, Finland, Sweden, everywhere. It's a big deal in the hockey community. But in Canada in general, this is a massive deal. This is a huge deal in Canada. This is what they always think about. And it's a big deal for American hockey fans. I don't know if it really pushes the needle when we're talking about American sports in general, but it's a massive deal in Canada. And it's a huge deal that the US gets to host this tournament because the US rarely gets to host this tournament. It's usually in Canada or Europe. But we'll talk about that a little bit further down the line about why you guys should watch. But we'll talk about Canada here and talking about the three Preds prospects who've been drafted by the Predators, all three from this year that are going to be playing in this tournament. One you all know, that's Brady Martin. He is a center drafted 2025, fifth overall out of the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds, otherwise known as the Sioux Greyhounds in the Ontario Hockey League. He's already gotten off to the hot start. There is pre-tournament play going on right now, and Canada picked up a 2-1 win over Sweden on December 17th in Kitchener, which is in Ontario, around Toronto, I believe. I'm sorry if I got that wrong to my Canadian viewers and Canadian listeners. But the big storyline is both those goals were scored by Brady Martin in that game, and both of them were set up by Gavin McKenna. Now, we'll get into the Gavin McKenna and Brady Martin of it all in the final segment, but we're mainly talking about the guys that made the Team Canada roster here. Martin's having a good year. I know you know it's not as much of a pace as he was on last season. He has 16 points in 13 games after returning to Sioux. He started off the year as a Nashville Predator, as you guys remember. He played 3 games with the Predators, got to play on that massive first line with Philip Forsberg and Ryan O'Reilly. Man, what an experience for an 18-year-old, you guys. Like, these are guys you grew up watching. Maybe he didn't grow up watching since he's so much younger. It's guys I grew up watching, but just getting a fact to play with 2 really NHL legends like that in your first NHL games and being entrusted not only with that, but centering them as well. O'Reilly wasn't at the center on that line. That was Brady Martin that was doing it. That is crazy. Just what a crazy moment for him. Obviously, he was a little behind the curve. I think what they wanted to do with Martin was just get some games under his belt. The goal, I don't think, was ever to have him play an entire season. It was just to test him out in the waters. As I think I saw on Twitter, they let him run around the yard for a little bit before sending him back down to Sioux. But it was a great experience for him. It was great to see him get that experience, and great experience to get to see him play with players like Forsberg and O'Reilly. A lot of potential coming forward for him. A lot of excitement, especially in this tournament. Again, this is just a massive deal in Canada. For sure, he grew up wanting to play in this tournament and watching those Canadian teams win all those gold medals. He definitely grew up watching that, and this is a massive moment for him in general. So it's really cool to see him up in this tournament too. Another guy that's going to be in here, another 2025 pick. As I mentioned to you all 3 picks for Team Canada are 2025 picks. That's Cameron Reid. He is a defenseman out of Kitchener. He was selected 21st overall. Remember that the Predators had to trade up for that pick from the Ottawa Senators, and he plays for Kitchener, as I mentioned. He is named the captain this year. Another detail I left out, Brady Martin's also the Sault Ste. Marie Greyhounds captain. Kitchener being in the Ontario Hockey League as well, he returns to that roster, and he's really offensively minded, y'all. This is a good defenseman to really get into this system. He isn't, obviously, he's still progressing and he's developing, and that's all part of this. But when you see the numbers he's putting up, it's going to bode fantastic for getting a Roman Josi kind of guy in the system, what Brady Shea was earlier in his career. That is a defenseman that is not afraid to take the puck below the point, below the circles, and score and create offense and drive the play. In the OHL, now granted, that is a completely different league than the NHL. It's a completely different league than the NCAA, and we'll talk a little bit more about that with our third Canadian prospect in this tournament. But he has 29 points in 28 games. That is a fantastic pace when you're talking about a defenseman. He is a playmaker. This is a offensively minded guy that the Predators would love to get into the system. He is 6 feet, 175 pounds. He's one of the bigger guys in junior hockey right now, specifically in the World Junior Championship. And this is just a good piece, and it's going to be a lot of fun, especially with the firepower that this Team Canada team has and all the Canadian people. And working at the Hockey News, I constantly hear about how the Canadians are poised to win this tournament and dominate this tournament. Man, as somebody who's watched this tournament for a really long time, you hear it every year and how Canada is going to win it and dominate it and la, 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 la. Well, guess what? It hasn't been like that lately, and I'll explain towards the end of why it's not been like that lately. But he's a good guy to get into this Canadian mix here as well. This is still a really good Canada team. I know I'm kind of ragging on them a little bit, but This is still a good Canada team. It will be interesting to see how aggressive he plays when we're talking about taking the puck in, especially when you have guys like Martin and McKenna in front of him and seeing what they're going to be doing. It's going to be impressive to see how incorporated Reid gets into this and how he stands out. He's having a good year in Kitchener. Let's see if he can continue that. On to the international stage. Same for Martin. I mean, I can't get into it too much because I want to save it for the last segment, but having early developed chemistry with Gavin McKenna, that should be a nice thing for Predator fans to look forward to, potentially. The final player that is a Preds prospect that's going to be playing in this tournament is Jack Ivankovic. And he was selected by the Predators, I believe, in the second round of this year's draft. And he played for the Mississauga Steelheads in the 2024 season, this past season, and the 2025 season. Mississauga moved on to Brampton. He was still in the system, played for the Brampton Steelheads, which was the name of them now. Now he is the dude at Michigan. He is now playing in the NCAA with Michigan, which he's a part of this class of players, a lot of them by storms, by droves, that are moving from the CHL, which is the Canadian Hockey League, down to the NCAA. You're seeing a ton, Gavin McKenna being the biggest name of them all, but you're seeing a ton of players that would usually play their junior time up in Canada, whether it be in the OHL, the QMJHL, which is the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League, or the WHL, which is the Western Hockey League. Those are the Western Canadian teams, as you guys would guess. A lot of them are going to the NCAA, and it's mainly cause you're playing bigger guys. You're playing guys that are a little bit more, that are older, period, because I believe the CHL cuts off at 21 years old. So once you turn 21, you can't play play in the CHL anymore. But you have guys that are, I think, at the latter end of 25 that could be playing in the NCAA. So they're seeing bigger, older guys in the NCAA. They're getting a closer look of what they would see in the NHL. And that's why a lot of them are moving to the NCAA. Ivankovic is a part of that. He's a part of that group that is shifting over. And hey, Ivankovic has been having a year, you guys, so much of a year that my dad, who is really plugged, and he's going to be probably listening to this. Hey, Dad, Merry Christmas. But my dad's really plugged into college hockey. He played college hockey at Bowling Green, and he's really plugged in, and we'll be chatting about college hockey and all that. And what's going on. I mentioned, hey, the Preds have a good goalie prospect at Michigan this year, and Michigan's really good. I believe I have it in my notes. I believe they are still ranked number 1 in the country right now. And I was telling about this. I'm like, oh, there's a guy down there from the Preds that's playing really well. And he's like, oh, well, what position is he? I'm like, oh, he's goalie. My dad said, well, he's played every game for Michigan so far this year. And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, the announcers on this broadcast are talking about they don't know what the backup looks like because it's been just one guy for them this whole year. And he's been sailing them to a number 1 ranking in the NCAA. Ivankovic has been. And it's just another like seed into the farm that's been the Nashville Predators goalie system, where you've been having just stellar goalie after goalie after goalie. You have Pekka Rinne, now have UC Saros. Now you have Ivankovic coming into the system. He has played 20 games, 16-4-0 record. As of now, that being December 20th, December 26th for you guys, I don't know if he's played every game. At the moment I was talking to my dad, he did. But a 16-4-0 record through 20 games is fantastic. He has a 1.90 goals against average, and he's a 9.927 save percentage, which is elite. He has the 4th best winning percentage in the NCAA as well. His goals against average and his save percentage are still within the top 20. They are not top 10, just because when you're playing 20 games and we're into December, that's kind of insane. You're going to see a lot of shots. You're going to give up goals. But he's putting up as it says, a strong win percentage for the games he's been given to. He's involved in a three-man Canadian goalies tandem right now. That's a tongue twister. 3 guys basically on Canada's roster for goalies, and he's looking to be the starter. I say the odds are really in his favor right now in starting for Team Canada. And the Canadians are going to be a force. They are a force every year, but at least the Pred fans down here, the Americans down here, have a little bit more to cheer for and wanting them to win a gold medal. I know every year when I watch, I don't want Canada to win a gold medal. I want USA to win a gold medal. But in the Preds aspect of things, you want to see these guys succeeding, especially Brady Martin. He is the hashtag, that's kind of cringy, the hashtag future for the Predators. And he is. I mean, that's not cringy that he is the future. He is going to be leading this as a high pick, the Predators' biggest pick since 2013 when they selected Seth Jones. You want Canada to win. You want to see them bode well, but obviously there are more Predators players that are going to be playing in this tournament, and we will talk about the rest of them coming up after the break. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. Live spreads and money lines adjust instantly. Player props update as a guy heats up. You can bet next touchdown scores, drive results, totals, and more. It keeps you locked into every snap, every drive, every possibility. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. I know with FanDuel, the options they have are kind of endless and just really creative. You really don't see it in many places, and other apps all allow with just the next touchdown scores, drive results, totals. I showed an example in previous episodes of what you can do and what's available. It's unique and just different ways to kind of allot your money as you go. So FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. So we're back to talk about everybody else, that being the rest of the Predators prospects that are going to be playing in this tournament. We only made a segment for Team Canada just because we have 2 first rounders on there. There are 3 guys. That's the most out of the teams that Predators prospects are playing on. They make up half the pool. 2, 3. I'm gonna edit that out. So we are back to talk about the rest of the Preds prospects. And I realized in the intro, I had to take a quick pause there, that I did some bad math there. There are actually 7 prospects that are playing in this tournament. There are 3 on Canada. You have 2 on Team USA. You have 1 on Sweden, and you have 1 on Finland. That is not... This is going to be rough, guys. That is not 6. That is 7. That is 7 prospects for the Preds. So the more the merrier. I apologize for messing that up in the intro. But we are making a separate segment right here to talk about the Americans, the Swedes, and the Finns playing in this tournament. Just because Canada made almost half that pool up with the 3 guys they had. And then the rest of the majority are coming from different teams. But let's get into it. Let's talk about the Americans. Let's talk about the hometown boys. Let's talk about them being able to play in front of a hometown crowd, which really doesn't happen a lot, and talk about which Predators are going to be there. Teddy Stiga. He's a center, 2024 draft pick, 55th overall. He plays for Boston College, but was drafted out of the United States National Development Team. And he has already etched his name into USA World Juniors lore. Last year, he scored the gold medal game-winning goal against Finland in overtime to win the Americans the gold medal last year in the World Junior Tournament. This year, he has 11 points in 15 games with BC. But his penalty total, he's showing that he has an aggressive side to them and that he has a physical side to his game. He has 21 penalty minutes, which is just 13 off of his total from last season in 36 games. Again, he's only played 11. He's only played 15 games. He's up to 21 penalty minutes already. So he's showing that he has a physical side to his game, but we've seen from camp and we've seen from in the past that he has a sound, really, really sound offensive side to him. He has really great hands, really great offensive side to his game, good skating. This is just a kind of a modern build hockey prospect that we've seen as of lately, an NHL prospect, kind of a guy that can just use his hands well, skate really well. That's what we've seen from Teddy Stiga. He has been fantastic, and he's getting a lot of help on this BC roster too, and what he's been able to do. He's been playing with the Bruins number 7 overall pick. Tell me if you've heard this name before, James Higgins. He was picked number 7 by the Bruins, and Boston College is ranked 12th in the country. James Higgins, and that's why I mentioned the familiarity a little bit. God, I am sorry, you guys. I am stuttering everywhere. But he was the one that Preds fans thought they were going to select a little bit more. And in the beginning, I think there was a little bit disappointment that Brady Martin was selected because everyone kind of wanted James Higgins in the moment because he was a prospect that jumped out a lot more, but the Bruins ended up taking him up, or the Islanders were going to get him because he is from Hauppauge, which is on Long Island. But that's a name that's a little bit more familiarity as well. But Teddy Stiga has been playing with him, and just really good offensive output from this kid. He's going to be playing an even larger role this year with the Americans and just ushering in a younger core, ushering in younger guys to where this is their first tournament. And yeah, I mean, he's going to play a big leadership role, and they're going to look up to him and see him as the model because he scored that game-winning goal last year and what the United States can achieve and possibly wanting to repeat. Another guy that you guys have had to have heard about, he is, in my opinion, this is someone I'm looking most forward to watching in the future. And just anytime he pops up on my timeline, I'm always clicking play on his highlights. He is sick, y'all. That is Ryker Lee, right wing, 2025, 26th overall pick. He plays for Michigan State, but was drafted out of the Madison Capitals in the USHL. 13 points this year, 6 goals and 7 assists in 16 games with Michigan State. They are ranked number 3 in the country. I know they spent some time at number 1 a bit. It's kind of been them and Michigan that have been back and forth this year when we're talking about college hockey and those standings. But man, guys, this guy is filthy. He is nasty. He is sick with his hands. Man, this is just... I know there's a lot of excitement around Brady Martin and what he's going to do and what he's going to mean to this team. And he's a really good center. He's a really good, sound, straightforward hockey player. But when we're talking about the flash, the style, what gets fans out of their seats, what gets fans so excited to come to games, that's what Ryker Lee is going to be. This kid his offensive skills are off the walls. What he's doing as a freshman at Michigan State, he's still carrying over his game that he was playing in the USHL. Now, the USHL is not a bad league, but the NCAA, as I've mentioned before, is clearly higher and is clearly more of a skilled league. Man, the moves this kid makes, the things this kid can do with the puck and his stick, oh my God. Look up Ryker Lee highlights anywhere and you will be baffled and just wowed. He is so fun to watch, and he's going to be so fun to watch. He's going to bring Nashville out of the seats, and they're going to see a player, in my opinion, in kind of the passing sense that I've watched the Predators in the past, and now kind of the direct sense, obviously. I don't think Nashville's had a player like this before. The closest you've had is Philip Forsberg, who is extremely offensively minded, and he's very good, and he's very strong on the puck, but his stick handling and his stick handling is not what really like defines his game specifically. He has really good stick skills. He has a really great shot. I think that's what amplifies Philip Forsberg to be such a good player. But this is somebody who I don't think Pred fans have seen this before in the organization and should get really excited for, especially if he gets to play with Philip Forsberg or guys like Ryan O'Reilly or Steven Stamkos. That's a future conversation. We're not there yet, y'all. We are not there yet when talking about Steven Stamkos, Ryan O'Reilly. I'm pretty sure Philip Forsberg's going to be around just about forever for this team and is going to retire here. I have a lot of confidence in that. But talking about Ryker Lee, I know you guys aren't going to like to hear this, but I've said this before on this podcast, and I think I've said it before in my writing in another podcast, but it's the only player that I could really compare it to right now. And when I was writing my script, I tried to run it through my head and say, okay, I know Predator fans don't want to hear this name, but I can't think of comparisons right now to another player that he can compare to in that context. I tried, y'all. I sat here and I was like, what are other players? He looks a lot like Patrick Kane. And I know because the Chicago Blackhawk passed of it all that you guys were like, we don't want to hear about the Blackhawks, but having a Patrick Kane-like player on the Predators roster, think of it in that context. That's cool. That's a lot of fun. He is just the stick handling skills, the ability to shoot, just the offensive sense. It's all there. And he's done just a ton of growth over his career when talking about building a muscle, his skating skills, his stick skills. He showed out for rookie camp. We really saw an impressive showing by him and just the breakaway opportunities and the shootout chances. Like, he's gonna be so much fun to watch. And I think I probably talked the most about him in this episode, even when we're combining the Canadian part of it too. Shifting from the Americans, we're going to talk about the Swedes. And Viggo Gustafsson is going to be playing for Team Sweden. 2024 77th overall pick in the third round. He played for HV71, which was in Sweden's junior league. He is now playing in Sweden's top league with AIK, 6 points in 22 games. They are all assists, so he's a playmaker, kind of just setting up goals here. He is considered to be one of Sweden's top players in this tournament, according to Top Prospects. 6'1", 183 pounds. So he's bigger when we're talking about the World Junior sense of things and junior sense of stuff. This is going to be a guy I think is a good defenseman. And I think the same could be said for Daniel Nieminen of just, it's going to take some of these guys to develop. Everyone's not a home run player when we're talking about drafting and just all the prospects. Guys take development and they're going to get there. That's why Milwaukee's there. That's why college hockey's there. That's why going back to juniors there. I could go down the list. There's a lot of outlets to continue to develop and moving up that pipeline. I think Viggo Gustafsson in the future is going to be a good addition to Milwaukee. I think he's going to eventually going to make it up into the Preds roster. It's just going to take some time. Again, this is a third round pick, but he's going to be a good piece in the coming years. He's going to be massive for Sweden this year in their efforts to try to get back incorporated into this tournament. They used to be really good back in like the early 2010s, mid 2010s. It was Finland and Sweden for a bit in that gold medal game, but Sweden has just really fallen off in the last few years when we're talking about World Juniors. He's been to this tournament before, 3 points in 7 games in the 2025 tournament. This tournament looks a year further, so the reiteration of the one that we're about to watch is the 2026 tournament, because the calendar shifts in the middle of the tournament to 2026 the next year. But in the 2025 tournament, 3 points in 7 games. Going to be critical for the Swedes this year. And if he has a big showing, that amplifies his timeline even more with the Predators. And then finally, Daniel Nieminen will be playing for Finland. He is a defenseman, a 2025 6th-round pick, 163rd overall with the Pelicans, and he played in Finland's top league. He is playing in that top league still. This year he has 5 points in 26 games. Similar to Gustafsson when we're talking about build, very similar. I think he's like maybe an inch smaller and around the same weight. So around 6 feet, 180, 185 pounds. Prior World Juniors experience too. 2 points in 7 games last year in the World Junior Championship. Another great piece I think that can develop a lot in Milwaukee. This is massive for him too, and talking about him being a 6th rounder and getting to play in this tournament. When we're talking about guys drafted in later rounds, a lot of this tournament is a lot of guys that are currently playing in the NHL. The way the NHL works is it's a lot of guys that are on the younger side, and the teams are like, we think he could benefit more from going to play in the World Junior Tournament. A lot of those guys, a lot of first-round picks that are still in juniors or in college are coming to this tournament. A ton of future prospects that are drafted the next coming year. And then max first, third rounders in that. So seeing a 6th rounder get an opportunity in this, especially with a team like Finland, who is another team that's looking to get going again. Obviously, last year they were in the gold medal game, lost, but they were all over the place, y'all, in the 2010s. They were really good. Finland was them. They were them. They were the team back in the 2010s, and they're looking to get back into the switch of everything now. But Daniel Nieminen, huge opportunity for them. Great for the Preds to see a 6th rounder, get an opportunity like this. Even with Gustafsson, a 3rd rounder getting opportunities like this as well. Looking at it too, all the 2025 first rounders get to play in that tournament. That's a big win. Kind of spoil the next segment, but in the next segment, we're going to talk about, if this wasn't enough to tell you why you should watch, I'm going to give you even more reasons why you should watch as a Preds fan, and why this is going to be such a fun tournament and is going to be giving you a spotlight into the future. But before we make the switch over to the last segment, I want to talk a little bit about our Everydayers Club. So thank you for making the Locked On Predators podcast your first listen of the day. Thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. You already live your team every day. Now take it up a level and go ad-free. Join the Everydayer Club today and get Locked On Predators with no interruptions, members-only Discord access, and more. All for just $5 a month or $50 a year. Listen, I know Christmas is over, but hey, it's still time of the year to get presents. New Year's is coming up. Could be a cool New Year's gift. I don't know if someone has a birthday coming up and they have that kind of intersecting line where they have Christmas and the holidays intersecting with their birthday. Could be a great Christmas gift, $50, and you don't have to hear ads. That's a win in my opinion. So if you're interested, Go to lockedonpredators.supercast.com or check the link in the show notes to learn more. When we come back, we're going to talk about why. Why? Do you guys know that meme? I don't know. I might just be sounding crazy. But why you guys should be watching the World Junior Tournament this year. So, World Juniors. Why you guys should just hit my hand if you guys heard that. Why you guys should tune in, why you should watch. Let's just do kind of a base up pyramid kind of with this. And what that means, we'll start off with the broad and then we'll get to the really narrow and talking about the details of why. So, first of all, if you guys just want to watch good hockey games and some amazing moments in hockey that will be created, watch it. It doesn't matter that these kids are young. It's an international tournament with these kids playing for their own country and so much country pride on the line, especially with Canada. Man, you guys need to watch it and see how big these Canadians turn up for this tournament. It's huge. It's huge. I remember back in 2017, it was hosted in Toronto and Montreal, and they played in they play these games at NHL arenas too. So they played them in the Maple Leafs arena and Montreal arena. Again, these are under 20 players, sold out. Montreal's arena is the biggest arena in the NHL, 20,000 people. I think maybe even a little bit more. Sold it out completely red. This is truly Canada's sport, and they show up for this. The American crowd is still good, but like, just you could still get a good American showing for this tournament. It won't compare to what Canada brings for this tournament. This is like a national pastime in Canada. It's huge. And it makes it even better when they lose because especially when it's America. The United States has won this tournament though the past 2 years. And as somebody who grew up as a big USA hockey fan, because I'm American and I like hockey, 1 + 1 = 2, fork founding kitchen, like seeing the United States win this tournament is always core memories to me. I remember when they played, I think it was either in Malmö, which is in Sweden, or Ufa, which is in Russia. And I remember waking up like at 6 or in the morning, 7 in the morning. I did that for a third time this episode, but really early in the morning, and woke up with my dad and would watch these games. I remember Seth Jones was on that roster and won Team USA gold medal. I remember probably one of the best hockey games I watched, best tournaments I watched back in 2017 when US and Canada were in the gold medal game. Well, first of all, US beat Russia in a shootout to get to the gold medal game. And then just a classic game between the USA and Canada. Went through regulation, got tied, went to overtime, was tied. They went to a shootout and the US won. And then recently, can't remember what year it was, but it was this one year where we heard everything about Canada. And it's like this every year, y'all. If you guys want to watch it or interested, it's like this every year where they're like, Canada's the best. They're gonna dominate and they're gonna win every game 10-0. And the US, and I kept saying to my dad, because I usually talk about this to my dad. Maybe if y'all get involved, I can talk to you more about it too. But I kept saying they're not playing anybody. They're playing like Germany. They're playing Latvia. Like they haven't played anybody. And as soon as they got to the gold medal game, play the United States. United States won. I think it was like 4-0. And the US has been like the underdog and trying to just establish itself in this tournament over the years because it's been Canada and then previously Russia. And then if you want to go further, this tournament started in the 70s. So it was like the Soviet Union in Canada for the longest time. Then Finland got involved and Sweden got involved. United States got into the mix. I remember, I think it was John Carlson in Calgary scored a game winner to win US the gold medal. It's a big deal for the US hockey community to go up against this giant and win. And it's a huge deal that they get to host it this year. Over the past years, they've only hosted it 8 times. Again, this tournament's been going on since the 70s. They only got to host it 8 times. I believe that's 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, 8. Just checking my math on live. This is what a live recording is like, y'all. First, but I'll break it up for you guys and show you why the U.S. hosts it, but really they're hosting it for a reason. The first tournament was in Fargo, Minneapolis, okay, and Winnipeg. And Minnesota is right along the Canadian border. Second time they host it It was in Bloomington, which is in Minnesota, in the Minneapolis area, and then in Duluth, which is also in Minnesota, and Winnipeg, because Canada's right there. The second time they got to host all the games, but they were in Alaska, and Alaska's almost essentially Canada. This is the only time that they ever hosted the tournament when it wasn't played in a state that is bordered by Canada. However, Canada is not far from this state, and it's a massive hockey state. It was in Massachusetts in the 90s. Then they hosted it. They picked the most interesting locations in the United States. The next time they posted it was in northern North Dakota and in Minnesota. They hosted it in Grand Forks, which, as somebody who lived in North Dakota for a bit, Grand Forks is not far from Canada at all. And the other game was in Thief River Falls, which is it's like 20 minutes, maybe 40 away from Grand Forks, and is in northern Minnesota along the border as well. Then it was hosted in Buffalo twice. Buffalo's essentially Ontario. And now it's in Minneapolis, which is good and is exciting that the Americans hosted. But again, it's along a border. It's a border state. So a lot of it's for the Canadian crowd. There's going to be a lot of Canadian fans there for sure, because it's not a bad drive at all. It's not a hard flight at all. And they turn out for this because this is a national pastime for them. So expect that when you guys watch the games, or if you guys want to watch the games. Going up the pyramid, I know I talked a lot about the Broad here, so I'm glad if you guys hung with me or fast forward. That's completely fine, but we're going to talk about the Predators now. You guys are getting a prime front seat look at the Predators' future. This is the Predators' future here completely. Ryker Lee, Brady Martin, Cameron Reid, Jack Ivankovic specifically. No, Teddy Stiga as well. No offense to Viggo Gustafsson and Daniel Nieminen. I think they'll come along just further. But when we're talking about the nearer, closer future, these are the guys. These are the dudes that are going to be involved in it. And this is the biggest stage for them in the moment. For Ivankovic, other than the Memorial Cup and the national championships. This is the biggest stage for them. And showing out, and you have all these prospects watching. If they have a big tournament, everybody is going to be talking about them. Brady Martin is scoring 2 goals. I had people asking me about that already, and we're in pre-tournament time. Again, it's December 20th as I record this. 26th, the games are going to be starting up when you guys are watching this. It kicks off that day. People are already asking me about Brady Martin. The tournament has not started yet. And just to add some more icing on the cake already of just how sweet things are, Gavin McKenna developing chemistry, Brady Martin getting a little superstitious here, little stitious. I made this reference a million times, but if the Predators continue being bad, and maybe I made a whole episode about this too, of I don't think they're in a rebuild. I don't think they need to be in a rebuild right now, but if they continue playing bad and things go bad, the best thing you get out of this is Gavin McKenna comes to Nashville and he starts developing this chemistry with Brady Martin, and suddenly you have a primed future coming up. Gavin McKenna, if you guys don't know who that is, you guys have to know who it is, but in case you don't, he is the number 1 expected draft pick in the upcoming draft in 2026. He plays for Penn State. He originally was playing in the CHL. I don't know where right now, but he left the CHL to go play at Penn State. He's making a massive NIL deal too. He's been a little slow to start the NCAA, but this is still going to be hands down the number 1 overall pick in this draft, in my opinion. Since he has been sliding off a bit, he could go like 2 or 3 or something like that. I still think he's a top 5 pick. But if the Predators are able to land a big pick, seeing this guy develop chemistry with Brady Martin, who's already with the Predators, and then they get him, that could be gold. That could be huge. That could be so exciting, y'all. Could you imagine Brady Martin, Gavin McKenna? That would be, I just did like a mind-blown thing. That would be so awesome. And you know what? Like I said, it's only pre-tournament right now. And when you guys watch this, the tournament's just starting. They could combine for a ton of goals, and that'd be the reason to cheer for Canada to win if you guys don't want to cheer or aren't cheering for the United States. That could be the reason to win, and seeing them develop that chemistry and possibly could be the future of this team. Overall, you want all the prospects to succeed. It's going to be fun to watch the prospects succeed and watch the prospects play and tuning in. Now, the schedule of when everybody's playing. Viggo Gustafsson will play his first game with Sweden as they take on Slovakia. All the first games are also played on the first day on December 26th. Everybody plays that first day. Gustafsson will be playing with Sweden and Slovakia at noon in St. Paul, Minnesota at Grand Casino Arena. I can't get into the rant of them changing the sponsor names of this arena. I remember when it was the Exall Energy Center, and it was that forever. And I don't know why you change it to Grand Casino Arena. Do you know how weird that sounds? I should be careful because with sponsorships and stuff like that. This podcast is not sponsored by Grand Casino, but it could. But it's just an interesting name for arena. I have nothing against the brand Grand Casino. It's just weird, and I don't. Exall Energy Center is also kind of legendary too in their name. Daniel Nieminen, he'll play his first game when Finland plays Denmark at 1:30 p.m. Central Standard Time at Mariucci Arena. That's on the campus of the University of Minnesota. Then the United States, Stiga, I think that's what I'm going to go with here, and I apologize if that's wrong. Ryker Lee. And the United States will play their first game against Germany at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time at Grand Casino Arena. And then the Canadians, Brady Martin, Jack Ivankovic, and Cameron Reid will play their first game against Czechia at 7:30 p.m. at Mariucci Arena. Usually one of the things to look forward to back in the day, and they've changed it a lot because I think they want to just get a wider competitive field and get more games and have the chance for these two teams to advance and stuff, is the US and Canada used to play in the same group, and they used to play on New Year's Eve every year. They don't do that anymore, unfortunately. They're in different groups this year. So the only time they would ever meet is in it's not relegation round, elimination rounds, essentially, when they're playing for the medals and trying to get to the medal game. So that's the only time they would ever meet each other, is when they'd be eliminating each other, which amplifies it even more. A USA-Canada game is always so much fun. And oh my God, the Olympics are coming up, and that's going to come up. And oh, that's just the best. And the NHL and the Milan Arena. Ooh, we can't talk about that now. But USA-Canada is always the best. Now, I conveniently left it to the end, and I'll put it in the notes and stuff just to make sure that if you guys are interested and you didn't want to wait to the end to hear this, you can find it in the show notes. The downside is these games are not broadcast on American networks. I do not know why American networks don't pick them up. It drives me crazy, especially with ESPN buying everything and Disney buying everything. And you have a million ESPN channels and an ESPN Plus channels, and you have ESPN going, we want to get more involved in hockey. Well, broadcasting these games, even on ESPN Plus networks, which they don't do, would be huge. They don't broadcast it on ESPN Plus. It's not on any of the TNT networks just because it just doesn't bring in a big American audience. And again, they should, if it doesn't, put it on ESPN Plus. I think a few random games last year, and they might have been World Championship games, were on ESPN Plus, but it wasn't scheduled. It was just random. But the only way to watch these, unfortunately, is if you get an NHL Network subscription. So find a free trial. I think Fubo has some. Fubo, I don't think is that expensive. You can get add-ons with Hulu. You can buy an NHL Network subscription with cable, and then cancel it after this tournament, or you guys can find different ways to watch this as well. I highly recommend it. Unfortunately, it's not readily available as much. There are different ways to find streams of the World Junior Tournament without getting NHL Network subscription, but I'm not going to talk about that. But you have to get an NHL Network subscription to do it. They do a great job covering it. This is what I watched it as a kid. We had an NHL Network subscription at home. I apologize. It is going to cost some money, but if you guys want to get a preview to the future, if you guys want to get a look at all these Predators prospects, watch some good games. I highly recommend it. I think it's going to be worth it. I'm going to be getting a subscription. Y'all can join with me and watch with me. It will be a great time. But that's all I got for today's episode. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to see more of my stuff, hear more of my ramblings and whatever's going on inside my head, I am at Jack G. Williams on Twitter/X. If you want to read my stuff, my stories, I'm at all the home games. I'm Jack Williams on the Hockey News Nashville Predators. That's where you can find all my work. And if you guys are just interested in Locked On Predators, you can find us on Twitter at LO_Predators, Facebook and Instagram. We are just Locked On Predators. And again, Thank you guys for joining me for another episode. Always appreciate you guys. I hope you guys are having a wonderful holiday season. And I look forward to chatting more Predators with you guys in the next episode. Thanks for watching and listening.